Looks like we're good to go. It looks like we're good to go. Let me just make sure that I have this taken care of. Sweet. Sorry for the delay, guys. I was working on some other aspects of the business, but unfortunately, that's how we are. It's a bit short-staffed. But anyway, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of the NarikChase channel. I'm your boy NarikChase, and in this video, we're doing another episode of the Streamline Podcast. Now, this is episode 91, and I don't really have news per se. I haven't been online like that, so I haven't been really seeing what's going on in the movies and what's been going on with the games and stuff like that. And honestly, I really didn't want to cover like comic book movies and comic book TV shows again, so I wanted to change things up. As you all know, I often come up with ideas and different topics for the channel, whether it be like best and worst and top tens, which top tens I'm getting to next quarter or is it the quarter after? I'm not sure. But like, ideas for like video games and revamping video games, and just basically just interesting concepts that I think about. But before we get on to the video, I want you guys to be sure to hit that like, share, subscribe, and that notification button to get the best of what we got on this channel. So, what are we going to be talking about today? As the title says, Dragon Ball Z villains slash antagonists, because some of the people aren't really villains, they're more antagonists than villainous. But anyways, let's go ahead and talk about this. Now, Dragon Ball Z is one of my favorite franchises. I've done a couple videos. I just recently read the Dragon Ball Super manga, and I ended up reviewing that. So go check out the review. It's fun. Although YouTube did make me cut out like 20 to 30 seconds of it. That sucked. Sorry, I don't have to. I'm tired of yawning. I just stay tired all the freaking time. But anyways, this is what I wanted to discuss. I wanted to talk about the villains because there's some, and I guess because I just recently read the manga that made me inspired because I was like liking the villains in the manga. I think they're pretty interesting. I think there's some of the more interesting villains of the series. Now, when I say villains, I mean more of the mainstream. So that includes the Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Superheroes, Super Dragon Ball Heroes, which isn't canon, but just because it's actually a series itself, I don't mind bringing that into this. And this is going to include not only the anime, but it's also going to include the manga. Now, what I will not include is the video game, and I will not include the movies. Now, I know that you're saying, how can I not include the video game, but include Super Dragon Ball Heroes? And I'm like, look, Super Dragon Ball Heroes actually has an anime, and it actually has a functioning story. So I'm guess I'll just go with that. I guess I don't really have a problem with that. So we'll just go with it like that. Now I'm doing that yawn. I think I do. I sound lacking sleep as usual. But anyways, Dragon Ball Z has been out for a minute. For those who don't know, it's one of my favorite franchises. It just basically follows Goku as he progresses throughout the world as a person, as a martial artist, finding friends, making friends, experiencing new things, learning new techniques, fighting off a shit ton of villains to save not only himself, but people he cares about, the world, the universe, just all types of craziness. It's a fun series. There's a lot of action in it. There's a lot of humor. There's a lot of great characters. But the villains pretty much make Dragon Ball Z or the Dragon Ball franchise. They have some of the more memorable villains. If you see any top 10 lists, you're definitely going to get one or two of these characters on the top 10 villains list, specifically one that's Frieza. Frieza's probably always going to take up a part in place in a lot of people's top 10 anime villains list. But there's a lot of villains, especially giving all of the different arcs, given all of the different series, all the different directions that they have gone. Some of the villains have actually turned good, such as Vegeta, Piccolo, Tien, and even Majin Buu. Some just pretty much stay villains. Most villains get killed off. There's a couple of that don't. So we'll see where they're gonna go with that. But having said that, let's go ahead and get into now. One of the things I can say about villains of the series is a lot of them don't really tend to have deep backstories, deep motivations, anything like that. And I've always had seen that as a bit of an issue, considering how interesting the characters are, how fun they are, the techniques, some of the motivations that they do utilize. I've always had a bit of an issue with that. There are some that do make up for it, and you see more of it in Dragon Ball Z, where the villains aren't really that deep. You see it in GT as well, but or they just have like understandable motivations, or what their motivations are, or if they have motivations outside of just being complete assholes, which you really, again, you don't really see that too much. I went ahead and added the thumbnail, so hopefully you guys can look at the thumbnail. It looks pretty awesome. It took me like, I don't know, 10 minutes to put that together, mostly because I couldn't really find the damn pictures that I wanted for them. So I hope that looks okay for you guys. It actually looks pretty cool in my eyes. But anyways, so let's go ahead and get into it now. That I have out of all the villains, there's a shit ton of villains that I do like. One, my top 10 villains of all of the series so far, and I'll give you the reasons as to why, are Frieza, Moro, Vegeta, Goku Black, Hearts, King Piccolo, Baby, I'm a bit okay, Boo. I guess you could say Jiren and Hit. Now, again, some of these are actually more antagonistic than actual villains, and some of these characters were villains and end up turning into heroes. But I'll go down the list. Actually have a couple more too, but it was kind of hard to break down. And then I was looking because I was like, well, wait a minute. I actually got this one character written down twice. So let's go down the thing. Frieza, I like Frieza because I like Frieza made a big impact as the overarching big bad of Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball, pretty much everything Frieza does pretty much sets up the story of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. You know, it's his actions that directly affect everything that leading up to that point. Now, I like Frieza in a lot of aspects. I think he's an interesting character. I like the fact that he has manners and he's very polite, even though at the same time he's very sadistic, very cruel, you know. And then you see how just unrelenting he is, especially when you see him losing. He would rather just like blow up the planet. You know, he what you call it, fire Earth or scorch Earth if he's going to lose something like that. I think he's one of the more interesting, mostly because of his personality. Like I said, he has no qualms about killing people. He doesn't care. You know, he's just a tyrant through and through. But I think his personality does make up for, you know, the lack of motivation, the lack of backstory. Because one of the things that I find interesting about Frieza is the lack of the backstory. I want to see what his origins is. I want to see what set him on the path of him, you know, being this tyrant. Is it something that he has inherently? Was he taught by his father? I understand to some extent this is kind of the family business, which we did see a bit of when it comes to King Cold making his appearance in Dragon Ball Z after Frieza's defeat, as well as the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. You get a bit more backstory of how Frieza gets pulled into the main story. But Frieza overall is pretty interesting. Like I said, because of how just cruel he is, despite his politeness and his manners. Now, Moro I like because I think he's a bit different. He's a sorcerer. I guess you could say he's a sorcerer. He uses magic and stuff. And even though he's pretty much nothing but world domination, this is how he goes about using his abilities that makes him very unique compared to other characters. I mean, he's far from the only villain in the series that's used magic, but I think his level of magic, where he's absorbing the the life energy from other characters, energy attacks from other characters. Then, as you see, he becomes more youthful, the more energy that he ends up absorbing. His backstory of just being this complete asshole and then being locked up for like 1 billion years. Interesting, it's interesting. Now, overall, again, he doesn't really have a motivation outside of just being an asshole. But I think his abilities as how he utilizes them does make him a bit of a unique villain. Uh, Vegeta. Vegeta is the first big bad. I mean, I guess you say Raditz is actually the first big bad, but Raditz is again because Raditz was sent there, and Vegeta ends up following him. Vegeta becomes an interesting character as well because what makes him interesting is again he's cruel, he's unrelenting like Frieza. You can see there's definitely some of Frieza's influence over his character, especially since his character is actually, I mean, Saiyans generally are assholes in the series and they like fighting and killing people and they're savages and barbaric and stuff like that. At least a lot of what you see initially in the early stages of Dragon Ball Z when they introduced the Saiyans. But Vegeta, I think, is actually pretty cool because to some extent, he tries to be honorable and you feel sorry for him because he's a villain he's an asshole. He's unrelenting. He's cruel. He's bloodlust. He has bloodlust. He just has no qualms about killing people, especially if it gets him forward or anything. But at the same time, you kind of feel for him because he has lost his whole race due to Frieza end up pretty much killing all of them. So that and you see how as the series goes on, at least initially when he's a villain, that you see that he suffers from that lack of not the lack of, but from knowing that he doesn't have his race anymore. He's the prince of all Saiyans, but are you truly a prince if you have no subjects? So that I really like. I like how generally his personality is. You see a lot of that in Dragon Ball Z, especially when he first gets there. Again, and you can see the rivalry he ultimately has with Goku, especially when he hates him. But generally, seeing him more as a rival as the series continues, and throughout the series, even when he's a villain, you see his respect that he ends up getting, especially when he ends up fighting Frieza, and you see Vegeta actually begging Goku to defeat Frieza because Frieza is responsible for killing their people and having somewhat of influence of the cruelty of how he was brought up. So even though Vegeta is somewhat of a kind of a tragic villain in a way, but I do like him. I do like him. Now, this is an interesting character, Goku Black. Now, you can make an argument that it's Zamasu. And I guess you could say, we'll say this Goku Black slash Zamasu. Now, now their motivation is, or his motivation is the destruction of all life outside of deities, because he sees all life pretty much as a waste. They're corruptible, they're useless, they're violent, which is weird because he ends up doing the very thing that. Well, which it always kills me with villains like that because it's like you're saying that people are violent, you're saying that they're lower life forms and they don't deserve to live, and you end up doing kind of the same thing that they're doing. So, and what happens in his story is he ends up in one of the timelines, or is it the main timeline? I think it's the main timeline, just hadn't happened yet. What Zamasu ends up doing is acquiring the big Dragon Balls, the giant universal ones. He switches bodies with Goku, kills Goku, and then just goes on a killing spree, murdering everybody. That's not deity. Now he does end up killing some deities as well, I believe. The gods of destruction, a couple of the gods of destructions. But I think that's an interesting, and that's a very dark take in the story. Now, despite the fact you have Frieza just killing all the Namekians, despite the fact you have Cell sitting here absorbing cities of people, the fact that Majin Buu ends up fucking killing everybody on the planet. I think the Goku Black angle was actually, I don't know, it felt like it was really cruel in a way. It was really cruel. Kind of reminded me of the Future the Trunks Future, where the 17 to 18 end up basically just fucking hunting down humanity and wiping them out. And I felt like it had that dark tone to it. Now, again, that's not to take shame from the other guys doing the exact same damn thing, but it felt darker in a way. And I actually think that the Goku Black was actually an interesting character. He has interesting ability. It was actually a pretty cool idea. So that a god basically become inhabiting a mortal's body and just going on a killing spree, killing every mortal he can. But that's actually a pretty interesting idea. Now this next one is basically the opposite of Goku Black, and I hear that damn train already. Good God, I hate that freaking train. But let's go ahead and keep going. Hearts. Now, Hearts is a villain in the Super Dragon Ball Heroes. I'm not sure if he's actually part of the Xenoverse, but Hearts is actually the opposite of Goku Black, and in which he wants universal freedom, domination in a way, but universal freedom from Xenos. Xenos is the head honcho of everybody. He can make and break universes and at a whim. He's a little childlike character and that created everything, that overlooks everything, that is the all powerful. And Hearts wants to kill him so that all of the universes can be free. Now, I think he also wants to take out the deities in this as well. But his main motivation, of course, his main focus is Xenos. And I think Hearts is actually an interesting character, and I can actually understand a character like that to a certain extent because you have Xenos that can just wipe out a galaxy like it isn't nothing. You never know if it happened to you, your galaxy. You wouldn't even know because you just be gone. Everything just be gone, and that's a lot of power one character should be able to wield. So I can understand Hearts like that. I think he has an interesting personality as well. He is smart. He's very laid. I don't want to say laid back, but he isn't seemingly just the type of villain to just go off the handle. Like Frieza, when things don't go his way or something expected happens, he can get pissed off and like that. And I like villains like that that are really, really smooth and really, really relaxed. Then when stuff don't go their way, they just fucking freak the hell out. But I don't think Hearts is like that. I think he's more reserved. And I do like his personality and his abilities as well. Now, going back to number 6, going back to Dragon Ball, King Piccolo. Now, King Piccolo is the first big bad of Dragon Ball. He's an older, ancient Namekian that got sealed away, I believe, 100 years prior to the main story of Dragon Ball, in which he was trying to go on world domination. He got sealed away. Was it 100 years or was it 50 years? I think it might have been 50 years. I think this is when Roshi was younger. He's already old as hell as it is in Dragon Ball. So I think it was 50 years prior, but it was some years prior to Dragon Ball. And when he end up getting released, he starts looking for the Dragon Balls, and he ends up again continuing on for his world domination. I like King Piccolo because this man is just straight up a beast. He's a badass. The level of intensity he brings to Dragon Ball, raising the stakes to the point that you can definitely see how his introduction to Dragon Ball ultimately is what brings Dragon Ball Z up in grandiose scale the way it does. Because you know, King Piccolo is because before King Piccolo, it was mostly humans, human level type characters. It was martial arts and stuff. But then when King Piccolo pops up, that's when you see more of the energy attacks, more bigger scale battles, cities being destroyed, stuff like that. And King Piccolo definitely, and his actions definitely affect the series because it deals with the first major death, which is Krillin, because I believe it was Drum that killed Krillin, and Drum works to get the Dragon Ball, and Drum works for King Piccolo. Was it Drum or was it Tambourine? I think it might have been Tambourine actually. I think it was the one that had the wings. I think that was Tambourine. Drum is the fat guy, the fat one, I think. But King Piccolo, and also another thing about King Piccolo is because of King Piccolo, Piccolo Jr. is born, which ultimately leads to one of the most epic fights in the entire series between Goku and Piccolo, and ultimately Piccolo becoming a good guy. So basically, King Piccolo, reincarnated as Piccolo, and then ultimately became a good guy. That actually leads on down further down the series. So King Piccolo is actually pretty cool, and I like the fact that he was like old as hell, and then he gets the Dragon Balls for youth, and he becomes young again. Coming in number 7, Baby. Now, Baby is a villain, one of the major antagonists in Dragon Ball GT. I know that series that fucking sucks, but Baby was actually one of the more interesting aspects of the series. Now, Baby is our android created by the Tuffles, which was the race that Saiyans destroyed and took over the planet. And Baby bears a grudge against Saiyans, and I like that. That's an interesting backstory. He has a pretty cool ability to infect people, and he can infect countless people. One of the in his arc, one of the ones being Vegeta. That's the body he fights Goku in. And Baby ultimately is just like, I like his personality. He's snarky. He can be overconfident at times. I wish that they did better with the fight. The fight fucking sucked. They might have 1 or 2 decent moments. And also, one of the cool things about Baby was you get to see him utilize Vegeta to transform into the Great Ape in his golden form while retaining his consciousness. I thought that was actually a pretty cool and unique idea. It made for a different fight. I could definitely tell you that. But Baby was actually pretty cool, and he ends up. It wasn't really him, but you see 2 more characters like him in Super Dragon Ball Heroes, Orin and Kanan, and I actually like those characters too. I mean, they have similar abilities. But Baby, but I really did like them. I really did enjoy those characters. But Baby, I said, one of the more unique villains in the series with really cool motivations. Now I ended up putting Hit and Jiren in because I had Nappa and I had Moro a second time. And I do like Nappa, and I'll go back and tell you why when I complete the top 10 list. Now, Jiren as an antagonist, I like him. He's a flat character. Don't get me wrong about that. That he is the flattest character that they could. He's flat. He's flatter than damn near any other character in the series. But the man is just a beast. He is a straight up badass. I think now I watched the anime and I read the manga. I like the fact that the anime makes him so much more stronger than what you see in the manga. The manga, again, it's more straightforward and it isn't as grandiose as the anime. But the anime made Jiren look like a fucking beast. That man was badass. Nobody can touch this dude. He just ultimately wrecked anybody in the fight. This man was just straight up the most badass character, hands down. And it took 4 Z fighters. Well, Vegeta initially was in the fight too, but it did take basically 4 people to take him out. And at the end it was 3, but we'll just say 4. So Jiren just straight. He was blocking shit with just like a glance. The man was just straight up badass in this. So Jiren definitely has to make the list. I do want to actually come back and see Jiren and Goku have another bout, especially when Goku has achieved fucking Ultra Instinct. See how that goes and see where Jiren goes with that as well. I think that has to be some of the absolute best, most awesome fights in the entire franchise. Those are the most intense. They're straight up fucking badass. Jiren just ultimately is just a juggernaut in Dragon Ball franchise. Now in Dragon Ball Super again, we're taking it to another person, Hit. I like Hit on for a lot of reasons. He's got an interesting ability. His personality is pretty cool. Ultimately, like his design. I like the fact that he's this assassin, and that's an interesting character to see. I would have liked to have seen, not in the anime, of course. there is the little side story of Hit having a hit out. There's a hit being put on Goku, and the hit has to do it. So I think that was actually pretty cool. I would have liked a bit more to. I would have liked a bit more to go with that. You know, that could have been more of an interesting story of perhaps he actually killing off the Z fighters. I think that would have been much more interesting story, and that introducing his character more than the way it was. But ultimately, Hit was actually a pretty interesting character. He had some pretty cool fights. He has a really interesting ability manipulating time, the time skip. A lot of the things that he did, of course, when he was fighting Vegeta, Goku, and Jiren, was just straight up awesome. And I like the fact that he just so adaptable in battle as well. I think in the anime, I think it was more so in the anime where they were saying that he gets stronger through the fight as he fights because he's learning and he's adapting as he fights. I think there's a bit of a stretch because I'm like there's a lot of prodigies in a Dragon Ball, and when they fought somebody that was actually stronger than them, they got their ass whooped. But okay, but ultimately, Hit was actually a pretty interesting and cool character as well. Definitely need to do more with that character. And lastly on the list is going to be Majin Buu. Now, I like Boo for several reasons. I like that he's a very diverse character in terms of his abilities or its abilities, shape shifting, be able to copy techniques just by looking at them. You know how he uses his shape shifting ability to ultimately fight different fight people and stuff. I think that's actually pretty cool. I like a bit of his story as well, dating back to way back when, where he's ultimately this very, 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 very evil character that ultimately gets influenced by good. How his transformation from bad to good, the different forms that he had. Now, I will say this until my dying day: the problem I did have with Majin Buu wasn't with the character, and wasn't necessarily the arc itself. I think what they should have done with the Majin Buu arc was wouldn't it shouldn't have been one Majin Buu. Or if it started as one Majin Buu, they should have split into like six of them. And that way they had to deal with multiple Majin Buu characters instead of one that kept fucking transforming. Because as we well know, for some reason Dragon Ball Z act like they cannot stick to just a character that cannot fucking transform. Every villain after fucking Frieza, after freaking Vegeta just seemingly transformed. Vegeta transformed, Frieza transformed, Cell transformed, Buu transformed, Moro transformed. Who else ended up transforming as well? Oh my gosh! But so they can't stop with transformations anymore. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Now my favorite version of Buu is Kid Buu and Fat Buu, and Super Boo's okay. The rest of them just pretty much irrelevant after that. But so Super Buu, no, last will be Super Buu. First will be Kid Buu, and the middle one would be Fat Buu. So it'd be Kid Buu, Fat Buu, and Super Buu. But some honorable mentions as well as Elect. Now, Elect is a businessman that's in business with Frieza when it comes to taking them planets and selling them and stuff. Very interesting villain, very interesting role, and it also gives a bit more credence to who Frieza is a character because we don't get no backstory on the planetary trade thing really at all. And his character does kind of give a bit more to that. So, and that's one of the more interesting things about Frieza, this business that his empire that he's built and business that he's been into with the planet trades. So I like Elect for that. The man is just a sneaky asshole as well. General Tao, I actually liked him. One of the first human antagonists that actually beat Goku and was quite deadly too. I mean, did he hit General Blue in the side of his fucking temple with his tongue and killed that dude? And General Blue gave Krillin and Goku a run for his money. So, in terms of antagonists, cool. Raccoon, love the guy. A big goof, a big just brute, and he's just so freaking funny. Frost was another interesting antagonistic character. I wish they could have did a bit more with him. But did he get erased? I think in the manga, I think in the anime he got erased. Yeah, I think he did get erased. Oh, so I wish they could have did more with his character, especially with Frieza. Uh, we also have Granola. Granola, interesting character, definitely an interesting backstory. I don't like the direction the story went with his character, but I think ultimately, like his arc was one of the better arcs in the entire series. Better storytelling and everything. But also we have I wanted to talk about Nappa. I like Nappa because Nappa is like the definition of what a Saiyan is. He's just straight up a brute, unrestrained, doesn't give two shits about just fucking shit up and fighting, destruction. He is what you would think of that what he is what people fear Saiyans to be. Now, if you say Vegeta's exactly that same way, I would agree with you. Yeah, he's like that too, but he's a bit more calculating. He's a bit more reserved. Whereas Nappa is just a straight up just a powerhouse that does not give two fucks. So that's why I really like Nappa. When you see him in the fight with the Z fighters, he is just a brute. He is just wrecking everybody. What's the first thing he does when he lands? Blows up a city. He goes to fight the military, blows up the military. He just cannot stop himself from just ultimate like destruction. They have the whole, Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction game. They need to have a Nappa ultimate destruction game for just the shit that he does. And even when you see him on other planets, he's the one that ultimately just jumps in and just starts fucking shit up, no problem. So of course he is actually one. I like him. I like him for that. He's just so unrestrained. He's basically just a wild animal. Now, there's a bunch of villains that I don't like that's in this series. Some of them because they're not fleshed out, some of them because I don't think they're interesting, some of them ultimately because they're just fucking stupid. Now we have coming at number one, there's seven of them, eight of them, no, seven of them. The Shadow Dragons from GT. I hate these motherfuckers. Now Nova Shinran was the only one I liked. I had mostly because he had interesting abilities. He actually had a decent personality and he ultimately tried to help end up helping. He was more well rounded than the rest of them. But the rest of the Shadow Dragons, Ice Shinron, I don't care, Sin Shinron, Omega Shinron, the rest of the water one, all of them Shinrons except for Nova were just fucking garbage. The designs of them sucked. The fights sucked. Almost everything about them sucked. Look, I know everybody likes Omega Shinron, but fuck Omega Shinron. He didn't do anything interesting. He didn't have no interesting personality. He didn't have no motivation. He didn't do anything. He had no cool attacks. The whole fucking fight was lame. That character was one of the fucking absolute worst villains in the entire fuck. And it's not like he's got the Dragon Balls in his chest and stuff. And it's not like he even used the power of the Dragon Balls to do anything fucking cool. I mean, you have the Dragon Balls. You should be doing like reality altering type shit. Like you should be making wishes that fuck up everything, or you should be like utilizing the Dragon Balls to bring back dead characters that fought the heroes. Something like that. He literally is the worst major villain. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, he has a pretty cool design, but the fight sucked. His personality sucked. Just basically everything about the Shadow Dragons, all the Shinrons outside of Nova Shinron fucking sucked. Now, next to that, coming number two is Deborah. I like Deborah for what he offered in Dragon Ball Z. I like the fight he had with Gohan. I think he's actually a pretty interesting character. But what fucks me up is he doesn't do shit. I would have had more respect for the Buu arc. And I actually like the Buu arc, but I would have a bit more respect for Toriyama had he had Deborah kill Babidi and take control of Majin Buu. Because Gabor's demon king of the fucking demon realm. And you would think, okay, if he's the king of the demon realm, which is on the opposite side of the living realm, which is what our current story is, he'd be like all powerful, like infinite type power, like God of Destruction level of power. And honestly, when watching, he doesn't feel that way, because it's like Goku could have fought Dabura and kicked his ass. Vegeta could have fought Dabura and kicked his ass. Gohan struggled, and Buu just straight up owned his ass. So how strong is Dabura actually? Like that, I like Dabura. I wish there was in Dragon Ball Super when you have the Future Trunks arc. It shows Trunks, the Kais fighting Dabura, and Dabura is actually kicking her ass. I want to see that. I was thinking Dabura was going to be the ultimate threat, but he ultimately was just wasted. Ultimately wasted. Coming number 3, General Realdo. General Realdo was in the Black Star Dragon Ball arc of Dragon Ball GT, where Dr. Mew was trying to take over the world, the universe, by collecting the Black Star Dragon Balls. General Realdo is one of his generals. He was a stupid character. He had a dumbass design. Yeah, the Buu Cell, Frieza sagas were the best. I don't want to count the movies. I do that later because that's just a totally whole different ball game. But you're right. The Brawley movies were beast. But General Realdo fucking sucked. He didn't have any interesting personality. I like the ability. I like the fact that he's a robotic character, and kind of some of that would have been interesting, but ultimately it sucked. The coming up behind it, what was the Sigma Force? The Sigma Force behind him also sucked. Well, you're right about that. The Sigma Force that actually worked under Realdo fucking sucked. They weren't interesting. They were dumb. Hated them as well. Super 17, interesting concept, messed up execution. Super 17, for those who don't know, it was one of the major antagonists in Dragon Ball GT, in which Dr. Zero from Hell and Dr. Miyu, which is a Tuffle android, combine two versions of 17. Jiro Ben had 17. Apparently 17 didn't die. And then Miyu ended up building another 17 and they put them together. And Super Android 17 fucking sucked. He was not an interesting character. I don't understand what the hell happened to his eyebrows, for one. He had the ability to absorb energy, which could have been cool had they done it better, but they didn't. So it fucking sucked. The fight sucked. He had absolutely no interesting qualities to his character whatsoever, although the design, admittedly, was pretty cool. And I did like this thing that they had in the story, in the fight, where it was 18 ended up helping Goku in the fight and was kind of trying to appeal to his inner 17 character. So I did like that. I did like that. Everything else about Super 17 fucking sucked. King Cold was perhaps one of the freakiest, biggest disappointments in the entire franchise. You got the whole Namek arc. You have the whole Frieza arc, where Frieza is this ultimate bad guy. He's fucking up everything. You find out he's on a universal scale threat. And then after his defeat, who shows up to help in retaliation? His father, King Cold. So, going like what you were saying about like the movies, where you have the Cooler movie and Cooler comes to Earth because Frieza got beat and Cooler wanted revenge. But King Cold comes and you're like, okay, if Frieza is this much of a threat, King Cold is going to be straight up a beast. And he fucking died like in the same episode. And it's because Trunks comes back from the future to warn him about androids, and end up, because he knows that Frieza and King Cold are coming, so he ends up coming back, kills Frieza, kills King Cold, which King Cold fucking begs for his life, which I'm like, wow, Frieza didn't even do that shit. So he just ends up just gets fucking killed, and I was like, what a fucking waste. I would have liked, this would have been it. This would have been a better thing for this. Frieza gets killed. King Cold is like, okay, this dude from this planet killed my son. Do the whole Resurrection F thing. Have King Cold come to Earth, a whole fucking army coming down and just fucking attacking Earth. And Janemba was pretty cool, but Janemba's first form has so much personality. His ultimate form sucked. The line of games they keep using Janemba's ultimate form, so letting you use both. Um, Now when I played, what was it when you played the Tenkaichi games? They let you play as his first form, and you're right. His second form looked cool, had some interesting abilities, but unfortunately, he just didn't have any personality to me. Yeah, I think that's what it was. He just didn't have any personality. Because I like a villain that can talk shit or has a pretty cool motivation or something. And Janemba just ultimately didn't say anything. And you're right. His first form was actually pretty cool. I would have liked it. Okay, I'm gonna go off on this just a little bit because you brought up Janemba. One of my biggest problems with Dragon Ball Z is the fact after the Cell Saga, Gohan is supposed to take over the series. I would not have minded if Goku stayed dead. Now, if you in the movie, Janemba is a threat that's in the afterlife. I would have been okay had Janemba made his appearance in the afterlife with Goku, and Goku has to defeat Janemba in the afterlife in the series as like a season or something. And then in the real life, in real life, Gohan and the Z Fighters have to deal with the ghost and the dead and everything. I would have liked that much better than what they did in the movie. And like I said, my problem with Dragon Ball Z is Goku came back and he shouldn't have come back. But if they wanted to explore more of the afterlife and stuff, I wouldn't have been. I didn't have an issue with it. Like the part where Goku has to enter that tournament in the afterlife, I didn't mind that because you got to see a bit more what was going on from different universes and stuff. So yeah, yeah, you're right. Like I said, it would have been cool if he talked shit or something, but he didn't. Oh, okay. Continue on with the list of the worst characters, villains. Garlic Jr. And it isn't. I like Garlic. I actually like Garlic Jr. My problem is the way he was handled in the series. Again, when he returns from the dead zone, apparently the movie is canon, and he has the three dudes with him. I think that's fucking dumb because the big Getty star, which I believe that's where he's from, comes to Earth and he powers up and he's taking over. He captures Kami, takes over the world with that mist shit that makes everybody evil. Cool, great story, and it's up to the last three heroes to save the world. Fine, I don't mind that. But if the Getty Star is coming and he's actually from that planet, why wasn't there more like an army of motherfuckers? Again, the resurrection F thing. Fuck it. The Garlic Jr. Saga should have basically been the Resurrection Elf. His goons get him from the dead zone. He attacks Earth. So, but I like Garlic Jr. because I like the first the Dead Zone movie. I think it's badass. It just he didn't get his due. He just didn't get his due. Another one of my characters I didn't like, number 7, Jace. Ultimately, the Ginyu Force was a bit more of a disappointment. Goldo actually came through with some interesting things. Ginyu came through with some interesting things. Raccoon is my fucking favorite out the group. I like Birder more in the games, but Birder and Jace were. I like Birder more because his personality. Jace didn't do shit. I was so disappointed with his character. I thought he was gonna have this badass fight with Vegeta, and he just fucking get killed off like it isn't anything. He doesn't do anything. He's literally just a waste of character. Every one of the other Ginyu Force members at least did something. He didn't do shit. So ultimately, he was a big disappointment. Now, I am going to bring Cooler in this. And the reason why I'm bringing Cooler into this is because you're right. Garlic Jr. seems like a super buff version of Piccolo. I never understood what was his power and abilities other than him becoming taller and buffer. That's what I say. I wish they could have worked on his arc a bit more. Like have him in the background doing shit first, then have him come up in the foreground where you can see a bit more of what he can do and everything. They could have worked on that a bit more. Now I'm going to bring Cooler into this because he was in Super Dragon Ball Heroes. He didn't do shit. I mean, he had some pretty cool fights. That cucumber fight was fucking badass. But I don't understand what the point of putting him in Super Dragon Ball Heroes, but not putting him in Super when Super actually expands on the universe. I don't get it. That's one of the things I never did understand. And I was like, why would you introduce Frost into this? In fact, why put Frost into this? You could have put Cooler as the character. They actually said King Cold was a thing. He's actually canon. So why the hell is Cold? How is King Cold canon? Frost canon, and he's in a different universe, but Cooler, and we expanding into see, that's what fucking throws me off about the writing sometimes. And lastly, one of Bobbity. Bobbity was a character that had potential, but ultimately he comes off like Garlic Jr. He's like, my dad started this. I'm just gonna finish it. And he is not, he don't got no, you don't know shit about his character. You don't know shit about his abilities outside of he does magic. He can influence the evil in people. But like what ultimately, what is his motivation? What is the full capabilities? Where did he come from? None of that's ever really explored. Why does he want Majin Buu specifically? It was even a point where Dabura was like, why do we need Majin Buu? I can do all of this. I can do all of this. So it's like, and then Dabura was fucking souped up because he was evil. So Bobby, and then I still say this. I was disappointed in Dabura's character because he was just so underutilized, especially given him being the king of the demon realm and everything. It should have been it should have been either Bobbity trying to revive Boo. He revives Boo. Dabura kills Bobbity, takes control of Boo. Yeah, you're right about that. Exactly, Boo is the only villain that was resurrected, as much as Frieza. At least when Frieza's is back is for reasonable cause. Yeah, you're right. Uh, it should have been Bobbity trying to revive Boo. He revives Boo. Dabura kills Bobbity, takes over Boo. Or Dabura is manipulating Bobbity to resurrect Boo. Or Dabura is the one that wants Boo resurrected and Bobbity's helping him. Dabura should have been the main villain of at least the first half of the Boo saga. And then probably have it to where he's like, well, I can't control Boo after a certain point. So Boo ends up, they end up fighting, then he ends up killing Dabura. That would have made more sense. But yeah, as much as Bobbity had potential, it isn't. Now, I'm going to do some honorable mentions. Cucumber in Super Dragon Ball Heroes is a Saiyan that was just fucking just worse than Nappa. He just does not give two shits about just doing all types of dumb shit. So he just got locked up. How the fuck he's still alive after being locked up for so long? I don't freaking know. But he's actually a badass. But there's literally nothing to his character outside of fucking just fighting. That's it. He's cool character. It just did nothing to him. At least with Nappa, I understood that okay, he's brutish. They've been out here just doing this shit, and he takes orders from Vegeta, so he'll take a step back. Vegeta tell him not to. Cool. Cucumber just there's really nothing to him outside of just fights. Cool fights, but nothing. Now this is one of the bigger disappointments. In Dragon Ball Super, during the Granola arc, there's a villain named Gas that works under Elect that does not like granola. So he's used granola as a threat that, he's like the muscle of this family that works for Frieza, that works with Frieza on the planetary trade thing. Gas is not an interesting fucking character in the least bit. He has no interesting abilities. He ends up fighting Granola. And what does he start doing? He's like summoning weapons. I'm like, if I want to see somebody in a fight summoning weapons, I'd read Naruto and watch Tintin fight other characters and stuff. That's his thing. He summons weapons. He summons a shield. He summons daggers. He summons, what was it, two swords. I'm like, that's not an interesting ability to have. At least on the second form of Buu was interesting, scary, unpredictable. It was also the first villain that was great. Good point. That's why I say with the Buu saga, what they should have did was when Buu split, it shouldn't have been one Buu. it should have been like he should have split into different, like 5 different forms of Buu. Fat Buu could have been like one of is a good one. Then there's a Gray Buu. Then there's the Super Buu. Then there's the Kid Buu, and there'd be a group of them that the Z fighters will have to deal with, and not just one. I agree with that. I've said it all. I've always said that it should never been just one Buu. I don't care that he split up the evil Buu and the evil Buu ate Fat Buu and then turned to Super Buu. Like, no, it should have been like 4 or 5 different Boos, and they had to fight them all in different and utilize different techniques to stop them all. But yeah, Gas. I don't like Gas. He's fucking sucks in the and this is how it goes. Granola wishes on Dragon Balls to be the ultimate warrior. Stupid fucking wish, but to fight to kill the Saiyans because they killed his civilization, and to kill Frieza because he's responsible for all of it, for him losing civilization. He wants to be the ultimate warrior. Not that he's more powerful than Frieza and just can kill Frieza with a snap, or not the fact that to kill Frieza, just I want to be the ultimate warrior. Elec, Gas, and his crew, what they call I can't remember the Heaters. They wish for Gas to be the ultimate warrior. So now he's stronger than Granola, since he did it at a later time. He wants to be the strongest warrior or something like that. So in the fight, Gas doesn't display any interesting techniques whatsoever outside of initially just summoning weapons. And it's not like he's summoning unique weapons. It was just a bunch of bullshit ass weapons. And then he has this, I guess, berserker form. Not fucking interested in the slightest. And then on top of that, he ain't even access the power he got from the wish. But he's actually standing on par with the ultimate level Granola. So I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, Gas is not an interesting character in the slightest. He's not. I don't care. Maybe they'll do something interesting with his character. I don't give a fuck. He's not interested in the slightest. Moving on. Now, I'm going to go to the best arcs. And when I say arcs, I mean villain, where the main villain is like the thing of that arc. Okay, top 10, the Saiyan arc, of course. Raditz, Nappa, Vegeta, all of them are interesting, great characters. And some of the best fights, too. That first fight with Piccolo, Goku, and Raditz was fucking lit. There's the prison planet Saga, where it was Fu was ultimately over everything, which I like. I actually like Fu as a villain, but it had all of the other villains in it as well. It had, what was it? Cooler was in it. I wish Goku lost the Spirit tournament against Piccolo looking guy. I can't remember his name, but he actually seemed to have stronger versions of some of Goku's techniques. You're right. That was one of the things I didn't like about that Goku. I mean, I understand they both technically were disqualified, but at the same time, yeah, you're right. That could have been a teachable moment for Goku, that there are stronger people in the universe outside of himself. I can agree to that right there. I definitely can agree to that one. The Prison Planet Saga with Fu. I actually like Fu as a villain. Frieza Saga, of course. Some of the more memorable lines, some of the most memorable fights, some of the most memorable moments. That's first transformation to the Super Saiyan was pretty badass. Frieza ultimately showed how much of an asshole he is as a character. Now, these two I'm going to go ahead and put next to Pikkon. The guy's name is Pikkon. The one you're talking about, they say Piccolo looking guy, Pikkon. Pikkon. This goes back to Dragon Ball. There's the 22nd World Tournament, Tenkaichi World Tournament, and then there's the 23rd one. In the 22nd one, the main antagonist was Tien, and Krillin ended up fighting Chaozu. And Yamcha fought Tien and lost, and then Goku had to fight Tien, and Tien was just straight up fucking wrecking Goku in that fight. Just a badass fight. And again, one of those characters that you're welcome. And again, one of those characters that turned out as a villain, and even had the little villainous arc afterwards, in which they wanted to get revenge on Goku and the Turtle School. for the defeat and for General Tao getting killed, because General Tao was the brother of Tien's sensei. So Tien as a villain was actually pretty cool. And then going to the 23rd one, I believe it was Piccolo Jr. was the main antagonist, and that fight between Goku and Piccolo Jr. was absolutely badass. It was one of my all-time favorite fights in the entire series. It was brutal. It was badass. You got to see Piccolo as an actual like threat, and just seeing these two characters go back and forth with their different abilities and different approaches to the other person was just straight up beast. And ultimately, how Goku won was actually pretty cool and clever as well. There is also the Galactic Patrol Prisoner Saga. For those who don't know, that's the saga before the Granola Saga in the Dragon Ball Super manga, in which Moro ends up escaping from the Galactic Patrol prison, and he ended up releasing all of the criminals there, and they're just going on this like galactic just heist, going from planet to planet, taking everybody's shit, killing people, and then Moro just goes to planets and just absorbs everybody's life energy, killing, thereby, creating genocide on a planetary level where they go. So, and then you got the Galactic Police sitting here trying to struggle how to deal with the situation. Is it me, or do all the lower characters seem like the coolest in the game, such as Tien, Raditz, Nappa, Raccoon, Krillin, and Yamcha? Yeah, I do like the fact that they are fleshed out more technique wise, martial arts wise within the games. They do sometimes in the story do have a bit more to do and feel more fleshed out than actually in the show. So I can't admit to that. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know if you play Fighter Z, but one of my favorite characters in that damn game is Yamcha. Because when he throw them hands, that shit just goes. That shit be popping. He's one of my favorite characters. Because when he do that Wolfang fist, that boy just da 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 da. He get on. He be on it. He be on it. I like Nappa as well too, because Nappa just like I said, Nappa's a straight up brute. I've always liked Krillin, and I like Tien as well. I don't know if you've noticed, but throughout Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, or whatever, like nobody develops their techniques. The only the people that develop their techniques are the Saiyan characters. Because when you look at Dragon Ball Super and they're training for the Tournament of Power, some of these characters are using the exact same techniques they used in Dragon Ball. Yeah, Tien and Yamcha. I'm telling you, man, Yamcha be throwing them their hands in that game. But yeah, I did like the Galactic Patrol Prisoner Saga. I thought that was actually pretty cool. And the thing about it is, I like the fact that Goku and Vegeta weren't there. They weren't there saving people on that. Yeah, they were training and shit, but it was nice to see like shit happening with the other characters and how they had to deal with it, especially when the prisoners came to Earth and Moro set his sights on Earth. That right there was just great. That was that was the Resurrection F type scenario that I like to see. You got this tyrant with this army of goons coming to Earth. I want to see these other people fighting. That's why I like Resurrection F, because Goku and Vegeta weren't there, and it was they had to rely on the other characters. So that was pretty cool. The baby arc, when Baby takes over Earth, takes over Vegeta, Goku has to deal with that situation. Great arc as well. The Future Trunks arc, which features Goku Black as well as Zamasu, terrific arc, great story, fucking badass fights. The anime, how they beat it, how with the Trunks thing was and the Spirit Bomb fusing into the sword was fucking dumb. I liked it better in the manga, but it was actually pretty cool as well. The Cell games. The Cell games is by far the best, one of the best damn arcs. Now, my only issue with the Cell games was it didn't feel like a game, a tournament. What I felt like they should have did was, because within the Cell games, Cell ends up spitting out these Cell Juniors, right? Cool idea. Why not spit the Cell Juniors out at the beginning of the game, beginning of the games, have the Z fighters fight the Cell Juniors, and ultimately the last person fights Cell. Yeah, I hate that trope of lower characters staying at the same level. Yeah, Goku's strongest moves have always been Kamehameha, Spirit Bomb, King. Hell yeah! And then he gets the instant transmission along with the transformations. What was it? He was trying to learn. He almost learned the destruction technique from Beerus. He just looked at it, seen him do it one time. And that was it. Yeah, you see that? Yeah, wouldn't that make more sense? Had the Cell Juniors competing, like have the Z Fighters on one side in the tournament, have the Cell Juniors and Cell on the other side, and let the Cell Juniors compete. If they, you know what I'm saying? It'd be like a 6-on-6. That would have been much better. That would have been much better because what did Cell end up doing anyway? After he fought Goku, why he fought Goku? What did he do? He blew up the arena anyway. So that would have been an ultimately better thing. I stepped into the Galactic Patrol Prison Saga, but it's part of the Moro thing. So I guess they're the same. They're the same, I guess. Um, I like the Demon King Piccolo arc as well, because again, that's why I was saying that the stakes for Dragon Ball end up increasing because initially the main characters that he had to deal with were more human characters. It wasn't characters that was capable of blowing up cities and shit. But when Demon King Piccolo pops up, he has to deal. That's when it starts jumping. King Piccolo to Dragon Ball is what Vegeta is to Dragon Ball Z. In Dragon Ball, when Goku has to deal with King Piccolo, again, you got a character that starts blowing up cities and shit. That means you got to step the fuck up. But in Dragon Ball Z, what happens? You got characters that can blow up planets. So of course there's another big jump. So I like that as well. And because I fucked up with the Galactic Patrol Prisoner Saga Nomoro, my 10th one would be the Granola the survival arc. I think it's an interesting story. I like Granola. I think he's an actual interesting character. I like some of the characters surrounding his character. I think ultimately what he wants, his motivations was actually pretty cool as well. So and kind of how it leads up to his battle with Goku and Vegeta and his grudge against Frieza, which I still don't understand. He wishes for ultimate power because he wants to kill Frieza. Didn't get the location of Frieza, so he can't fight Frieza. So ultimately, that point is just null and void. I would have actually liked it had he been like, okay, I know where Frieza is. I've made my wish. Let me go fuck up Frieza. Frieza's on the ropes now, and Goku and Vegeta have to do the moral thing of trying to stop Granola from killing Frieza, and ultimately his grudge against Saiyans pops up as well. So that's a thing right there. I think the Granola arc is just I like it. I like it because it's different from the other arcs, but at the same time, I'm like they're not doing enough. How do you get ultimate power to kill somebody but don't know where the fuck the person is? So what was the point of getting the ultimate power? That means that Frieza could potentially okay. As a result of Granola getting this ultimate power, he had to shave off like what I think he had 100. Like his race could live for like 100 something years, like 200 years or something like that. He had to shave off like 150 years, so he only had like 3 years to live in order to get this power. After 3 years, he'd die. So potentially, he made this wish to get this ultimate power. He doesn't know where Frieza is. That means for 3 years, if he don't know where Frieza is, then he just up shit creek. The canon episode in Budokai when Cell absorbs Krillin was funny as hell, but when I have made sense for Cell Jr. performing that individual agendas and possibly fighting against Cell himself. I'm not sure. I would say because they are. I wouldn't say that they would do it, but I think it'd be pretty cool to see if one tried to do it and Cell end up like just blowing his ass to pieces, and then the rest of them got in line after that. I guess that'd be pretty cool. Or during the whole Cell thing, because like I said, I'm a huge proponent of Dragon Ball Z, when they have major villains, don't make it a singular villain. Maybe have that villain, and he have henchmen. I think that works better. When you look at the King Piccolo, it was King Piccolo, and then he had his spawnlings. When you look at Frieza, he had the Frieza Force, and it worked out really good that way. You could say, like I said, Cell was an interesting. Cell was more of an interesting because he transformed and stuff. Boo would have worked out a hell of a lot better if it was a group of them. So I think Dragon Ball Z works better when you have a villain, or maybe have like one season where it's one villain, and that's why I like the Moro arc so much because it was Moro, but he had all of these prisoners under him. And they were all doing different shit. They were all helping him for different reasons. They all were doing this stuff had different motivations. They all had different abilities and stuff like that. That's why I like the Tournament of Power, because even if you look at that, they weren't one guy. Not the survival arc where the Universe 6 thing, where it was like they had 6-on-6 or anything like that. But even with Jiren, it wasn't like everybody had to fight Jiren. It was the whole what you call them, the Pride Troopers. They had to fight all of the Pride Troopers, and all the Pride Troopers had different cool abilities and stuff like that. So yeah, that would have been something interesting as well. Let's see. I'll just go ahead and go through some of the worst arcs. Garlic Jr. arc, wasted potential. Super 17 arc, wasted potential. How Dragon Ball Z is the most popular series. How Dragon Ball had the best fighting choreo. I think Dragon Ball Z actually had the more best choreography. But if you're saying for the actual martial arts, I would say you might be right with that, because then Dragon Ball Z goes to Power Blast and that fast pace fighting stuff. But I like that fast paced fighting. I do. I'm sorry. I love that shit. When I was in school, we got to fight. We were trying to throw them hands like that too. Now Beerus became an antagonist, and Beerus was a better what was it? Battle of Gods had a better interpretation of that arc, as well as Resurrection F having a better interpretation of that arc. So, but in the arc itself in the show, it sucked. The Shadow Dragon arc sucked. The Buu saga, based off what I said, sucked. On that, I still like it, but I still have to give it to the Black Star Dragon Ball saga. Interesting story, interesting direction. It still sucked. But okay, I got 5 categories, and I'll go ahead and just I'll end it after that. Okay, in terms of personality, who are the best villains? I've got Cell, or villain / antagonist. I got Cell because Cell, his personality is derived from a lot of the other characters. I mostly see Vegeta, maybe some Piccolo in his personality. He's overconfident. He's cocky. And when it terms of fighting and stuff, you see he allows people to. He wants to challenge himself. So you can definitely see the Saiyan in his personality. Frieza, ultimately, I like him because of just how polite he is, his manners and stuff like that. He's also an asshole. He also would betray the first chance to get. He's ultimately out for himself. Oh, I got my sheet sticking out of the dresser. I didn't even realize it happened. I'm like, what the hell is that white thing sticking out of there? But anyways, I ultimately like Frieza. I like Hit's personality. He's laid back. But he's methodical. He's actually a pretty cool character. He's very confident in his abilities. Beerus, I like Beerus. He does not give 2 fucks. He would just do whatever he want to do. I like how he's one of those again like with Beerus. Beerus is on that train too, where it's like he was a villain, but then he became good. But I ultimately like Beerus. I think he was actually a pretty cool antagonist within the film, especially given the fact that his motivation was to fight, was a challenge. And then when you see him fighting Goku in the movie and even in the series, He's not out to just ultimately just kick his ass like that. He's teaching him how to fight in the Super Saiyan God mode with God energy while fighting. So he wants that challenge. So that was actually pretty cool. Zamasu and Goku Black about uh I like Zamasu because he was very calculating. He was very cruel, very calculating, very cold hearted. You got that from, and you can tell he's like one of those, he's like that guy that you could tell that like this man, he might start shooting people. Cell is cocky, Boo is playful, Frieza might be the only villain who has personality. Who personality develops depending on what scenario he's put in. Yeah, I can admit that as well. I can admit that. I like Boo. Boo, I would say Boo, Fat Boo, I would say he's playful. In fact, I would say, yeah, I would say Boo a lot of times often acts immature, playful and immature. Because even Super Boo, when he end up absorbing Vegeta, what he started doing, he was like, "Yeah, Boo got you. Yeah, Boo got you," and stuff like that. Kid Boo, for as destructive as he ends up playing. He plays. What was it in the fight with Goku? He was dancing. He started dancing and stuff like. Or was it when he was fighting Vegeta? It was one of them. He started dancing like that, like that. I say that. Zamasu, very cold and calculating. Goku Black was just straight up like serious. He had some. He liked to play around a little bit, but he was straight up serious. I like 18. Oh, 18 is one of my top 10 characters in Dragon Ball Z, like of all time. I like that in the future she's just cold and she does not give a shit. Yeah, Ginyu. I think we can agree that out of all the villains, Captain Ginyu had the most fun. I can agree with that. Ginyu is just off the chain. Did you see those rejects? Tell me, did you see those rejects in Dragon Ball GT? The ones, it was like three, and they was singing. I, um, I think it was in the when they had the what was that? They got turned into dolls and sacrificed to that machine god. I can't remember Lord Lud during that little story. And also, do you think that the Pride Troopers are like the replacements for the Ginyu Force? Because I don't know what it is about like Japanese, but a lot of the times when they have like groups like that, they have like the choreography and stuff. Because Sailor Moon did the shit, Kamen Rider did it, Power Rangers did it. Like I think the Pride Troopers did it too. I'm not sure. Um, Jiren, he didn't have personality at all, really. I can say that he didn't have no personality at all. I like Raditz. I thought he had a decent personality. Yeah, he was out, but at the same time, he did try to be like. I mean, he was an asshole, but he did. He didn't want to kill Goku at first, and you got to think about it. He could have killed Gohan at any time, but he didn't. He's like, I'm gonna take you. I'm gonna take him with me and all that. I mean, it's some personality, I guess. I like Fu. Fu was very reserved. Yeah, I kind of felt like that too. I kind of felt like that too. All right, I'll go ahead. We'll throw back and forth on abilities and techniques. Villains that had or antagonists who had the best techniques. I said Majin Buu, Moro, Baby, Frieza, Cell, and you can say Cell because Cell had all the abilities of the Z Fighters. Ginyu, I put Ginyu on the list. Hit got put on the list. I like Hearts. Hearts had interesting abilities. I like Karen and Orin. Fu had some interesting abilities as well. I I don't know about Goku Black. I mean, outside of him going Super Saiyan Rose and him having that scythe blade thing, he didn't really do anything else. uh, Piccolo Jr. when they fought. He had the mouth blast, regeneration. I think he had a paralyzing technique as well. He could actually grow his body and become larger. The androids really didn't have like interesting techniques. They had cool team attacks, but not interesting. No real techniques like that. Um, what else? Who else? Who? What other villain had some interesting powers? Let's go ahead and talk about that. Jiren. No, he didn't really have any interesting powers. He was just a straight up powerhouse. Vegeta ultimately didn't. The Shadow Dragons, for as diverse of a cast as they were, I was so fucking disappointed with how much their abilities were. How their abilities just fucking sucked. He did it in Resurrection F. I don't think he did. No, he didn't do it in the movie, but I think he did in the. If you watch the Dragon Ball Super, when you watch the Resurrection F arc, he ends up doing it to one of Frieza's henchmen, the new henchman guy. It wasn't the Bull guy. He did it to the other guy because he ended up talking to Frieza, and he was like, "Hey, Frieza, it's me. I'm back." And he's like, "Ginyu, you still alive?" But you are right about that. I ain't gonna lie. When he got Bones body, that was hilarious. That was because I guess because his personality and his voice coming out of her, that was just hilarious. But you're right. I wish they could have did more with his ability. Goldo had a pretty interesting ability. For those who don't know, he's a part of the Ginyu Force and was the first one to fight Krillin and Goku, and he could manipulate time by holding his breath. So that was actually a pretty interesting ability. Actually, I would have liked hit. I would have. What I would have liked was because one thing I hate about Dragon Ball Z is they write a bunch of. It's like Star Wars. You have a bunch of different aliens, but you're like, well, wait a minute. And then like they introduce a bunch of aliens, but you never see that alien type again. And Dragon Ball Z kind of does that where they introduce all of these aliens and different races and stuff, but you never see another one of those. Like you don't ever see another Ginyu character. You don't ever see another Goldo character. You don't see another Hit character. You don't see another Jiren character. You don't see another Birder character. Like you don't see another Raccoon character. You assume Raccoon was just human, but he's just a big ass dude, alien from another planet. They do show another. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree with that. That's why I kept saying I like Garlic Jr. as a character, but I wish and he actually had a good story. They locked up Kami. He put that mist all over the world and started turning people evil. And like I said, that was actually good. They just they didn't do enough with it. I feel like I understand that was filler, but they could have did more with that. But then again, you didn't have Goku. Where the fuck was Vegeta? I don't know because he was on Earth at that time. Did he leave to go training? I think that's what happened. That's why Vegeta wasn't there. Goku hadn't come back. Now, because that wouldn't make sense because Go Vegeta Vegeta would have left. I don't. Where the hell was? I think Vegeta did leave to go train, and Goku hadn't came back yet. Okay, that makes more sense. But yeah, I would have liked to see more equivalence. Like Goldo was able to manipulate time because he could hold his breath, and I would have liked Goldo to be a part of I would have liked Hit to be a part of Goldo's race, if that makes sense. The movie's canon. I didn't think Trio Mike was canon. I didn't think Trio Mike was canon. Um, but there's a lot of villains with a lot of different interesting techniques within the series. Backstory. This is where it gets a bit tricky because unfortunately, most of the villains' backstories and stuff aren't really given. You don't understand why they do the things that they do, what led them to do the things that they do. Really, the most significant one that they've come out with was Cell. Cell was the only one that actually had really a good build up to why he is the way he is, where he came from. Cell is an android from the future because what happened is Dr. Gero built a machine to create Cell that incorporated the cells from all of these fighters from Earth, and I believe uh, they incorporated cells from well, technically every strong fighter that's been on Earth before the Cell Saga. So I think that includes Frieza as well. He's got some of Frieza's cells as well, I believe. But he was growing, being developed, and the machine that was doing it was going to take like 20 years to do. But by this time, after that 20-year period, when Cell hatched or whatever, his first thing is to absorb androids 17 and 18 to go into his perfect form. Now, in the future timeline, Trunks went into the past. Because he went to the past and got stronger, he came back to the future, killed 17 and 18. After 17 and 18 got killed, Cell killed Trunks and then went back into the past so he can absorb them in the past before they get destroyed in the future. And after like 20 years, because he had to turn into an egg again, after like 20 years, he pops back up. And his thing is, he was developed from the Red River Army, the scientist Dr. Gero. Great. It's like that right there is a very complex and interesting story. Interesting. If you say baby was why every time a kid goes home became a monkey. Really, he only did it twice. Yeah, he only did it twice in the one movie. Then he did it against Vegeta. That's why I don't understand why they didn't keep with the tail concept. They could have utilized that later on down the line. They have Baby. Baby was created by the Tuffles in order to get revenge against the Saiyans. Interesting. It was programmed too, basically. Fu is basically he's like Cell. He's a demon with the blood of like different fighters across the universe. So he's a very, very strong fighter. And really, I don't understand what Fu's motivations were because he really wasn't he wasn't really there for power. But okay, Dr. Mew, he's just like Baby. He's a Tuffle artificial life form that wants world domination, universal domination. I don't know. A lot of these characters, like the villains, they just don't have any good backstories. Vegeta lost his planet because Frieza destroyed it, apparently because Beerus told him to. And he's been with the Frieza Force since, but they don't really go into. And I did a video on this. How come we don't have a side, what you call it, a sideshow where it shows Vegeta's origin story? How was it him growing up with the Frieza Force? Now, the reason why I say that is because I read a fanfic where somebody had it to where Goku and Bulma went back in time to see Vegeta's childhood and as he was growing up and stuff like that. And in it, you see just they were just torturing poor Vegeta. Zarbon, Dodoria, Frieza were just fucking this dude up as a kid. When he did fuck ups, when they trained him, they just basically treated him like shit. Because even in his story, they address that Vegeta doesn't talk about his backstory. In the show, you realize Vegeta doesn't talk about his backstory. And look, I'm all for look. I get on Naruto, especially more than Shippuden, when they're just talking about these backstory and these all these weird ass filler episodes. We talk about all this shit. We don't want to hear all that. Dragon Ball Z should have done that more because we need to know who the hell these characters are. I don't even know the backstory of Tien and Chaozu. And what the hell is Chaozu? I still don't understand. Is that a kid? Is that a genie? What the hell is Chaozu? Because at this point, I'm thinking he's supposed to be grown, but okay. Like a lot of these villains, Dabura, we don't understand. We don't know how Dabura got hooked up with Babidi. We don't know Babidi's backstory. We sure as hell don't know Frieza's backstory. We don't know how Ginyu got the Ginyu Force together. Who recruited them? Did Frieza say, "Hey, let me build a special force to do stuff for me"? And he said, "Okay, we'll hold a tournament, and whoever wins the tournament is the captain, and then the captain has to go recruit the people." Like we don't understand why the Ginyu Force got brought together. We don't know. I always say why they didn't we get any girl sayings outside of Bardock movie. I don't count the Sultans. I don't know. I don't know what the Chasu and Mr. Popo are. They need to say they need to give us something. I assume Mr. Popo is like a genie-ish type character, but then again, you don't see anything else like him in the rest of the series. Chaozu, I still don't understand what Chaozu is. You're right about the female sayings. I, for one, probably would have liked it better had Goten been a girl. But yeah, going back towards like how did Jiro get 18 and 17, 18? He actually kidnapped two people, turned them into cyborgs or androids or whatever. Who were they before then? No backstory on that. Again, Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz. Why weren't they given a backstory? What did they had to deal with? Being the last three Saiyans. I don't think anybody can hear me right now. I'm saying just Dragon Ball Z need to just dive in. What they need to do is do like a what if series with Dragon Ball Z right now, and go back and give some episodes where these characters have or they show these villains and other side characters in their life or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Again, they could show Vegeta, Nappa, and Radix doing a mission together, or training, or talking about usurping the Frieza's throne. See, best female character. Let's see. Best female character in the series was a girl with two personalities. Oh, you talking Launch? That's actually, you're right. I would have liked to seen them do more with Launch as well. They brought Mai back. Launch could have been an interesting character to kind of maybe to tag along with Bulma, or talk to because Launch in Dragon Ball actually like Tien. That could have been something. I understand Tien's a monk or whatever, but at the same time, she could have been with Tien or something. Hell, I've been hearing you talk the whole time. Yeah, I've been sitting here talking. um, I guess backstory, motivations, and all that stuff. I'll just go ahead and go through that. 17, 18 were programmed to kill Goku. I do like in the current timeline and not the future timeline that they kind of fuck off and like start doing running on roller coasters and stuff like that. I do like that. Baby was created to kill the Saiyans. Okay. Cell just wants to get stronger and challenge and prove his own strength, challenge himself to prove that he's the strongest fighter. Okay. Garlic Jr. wants revenge for what happened to his dad and what happened to him. Zamasu wants to kill all mortals because he feels that they're inferior insects. Hearts wants to kill Xenos, and I get why he wants to kill Xenos. Like I said, one character having all of that power to just snap away existence like that, very dangerous. But Hearts also is a bit of a power hungry player as well. He's a bit of a hypocrite himself because if he had it, he'd probably take that power too. Frieza's just an asshole that just wants to rule over and destroy shit. But he also, with the planetary thing, is opportunist. Now, finally, which villains had the best fights? That's what I want to jump on. Which one of these villains had the absolute best fights? Obviously, Vegeta Goku fight is at the top of that list. The Frieza fight is at the top of that list. The Cell Saga fight, the Cell game fight, top of that list. Why is Master Roshi being used as a joke character, yet he was the strongest Goku during the Dragon Ball series, and we gotta remember just Roshi is Goku's sensei? This is what I have to say about Master Roshi. I think it's one of those moments like he had his time. Dragon Ball was the height of Master Roshi. Now, if you say he was there to, he's there in the background to continue helping the characters train and get it, because a lot of times in anime and a lot of times in different media and stuff, you have one generation that might struggle to attain a certain level, but then that next generation surpasses that, and then the next generation surpasses them. And I think Master Roshi was at that point where Goku's generation, Krillin's generation, because think about Goku and Krillin, Tien, all of them learned the Kamehameha wave much, much faster than Roshi did. It took Roshi, what, 50 years to develop it? But Goku and them mastered it in like a year. No, Goku almost mastered it immediately. But if you say Master Roshi is on the sidelines helping them train, I could get behind that. If they would had him train Goten, Trunks, Gohan, like I say, I would say he peaked in Dragon Ball, and he's nowhere as strong as these guys. But if he was still training them, teaching them patience, teaching them the art of key control, stuff like that, like the basic stuff, I would be cool with that. And I'm sorry, the fact that he was a super was a terrible idea. Why the fuck is Master Roshi in Super? He was there to help fight Frieza's forces. Roshi is nowhere near as strong as them people. He was in the Tournament of Power. I still don't understand why he was in the Tournament of Power. And it's not like, Goku and them sent Trunks and Goten and any of the child characters or the new characters or Oob to go train with Master Roshi. Like, if he's a sensei, he's going to be a sensei. I don't know. I don't know. Continue on. Who had the better fights? I like the Goku Black fights. They were actually pretty intense. The Jiren fight was just fucking badass. And the one thing I like about the Jiren fight that I keep consistently seeing is a problem in the series. If you're down to one fighter and that one fighter is fighting a villain that's kicking everybody's ass, I get the one-on-one. But there's no way in hell you should have 6 fighters and all 6 of those fighters allow one person to fight a villain that's dominating that one person. That was one of the reasons I got pissed off in the Frieza arc, the Resurrection F arc, where everybody's scared to fight Frieza. And I'm like, did you not remember the Narik and Frieza arc? All of y'all fought him, even though he was stronger than y'all. That was one of the best things about the Saiyan arc. The Saiyans were clearly stronger, but all of these other characters jumped in the fight anyway. What happened in Resurrection F? Everybody's bitching out. What happened in the Cell arc? The Cell games. Everybody jumped in the fucking fight. So I get tired of seeing, and like I say, it goes back to the Jiren fight when 17, Frieza, Vegeta, Goku, all of them had to keep jumping Jiren because he was that powerful. That's what you're supposed to have in them fights. In the moral fight, I got disappointed because for most of that fight, it was always Goku and Vegeta arguing with each other about who was going to fight the character, even though that character was clearly stronger than them. And he beat them both. The granola fight, same thing. The gas fight, or gas would fight granola, but still. If gas is fighting granola, why not Goku and Vegeta jump in the fight too? Best fights, Cell, Frieza, Master Roshi in the world's strongest, even though they lost. We're talking specifically about the villain fights. Tien versus Goku versus Garlic Jr.'s henchman. Like I said, we're not talking about the movies, but you're right. That was actually a good fight. Fights were good. I did like the 17 versus Piccolo fight. That was one of the better fights as well. My favorite Buu fight, I'll tell you this. My favorite Buu fight is not the Gohan versus Super Buu because it was one-sided. I don't like one-sided fights like that. It wasn't the Vegito versus Super Buu. It was one-sided. I didn't like that fight because it was one-sided. I have to see perhaps Majin Vegeta. Yes, that was a good fight too. That was a really good fight. Again, I said it earlier, Piccolo versus Goku. That was in the 23rd World Tournament. Great fight. Absolutely great fight. Oh, my favorite Buu fight was the Kid Buu versus Goku fight. It was even. It felt like it was very evenly matched. There was a mixture of great martial arts, fast-paced fighting, as well as energy blast, straight up fire. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed that fight. The Battle of the Gods. The anime series version of it, not so much. It was, but the movie fight was fucking dope. They could not have killed it better than that. Even the movie version of Resurrection F when Goku fought Frieza, great fight, absolutely fantastic fight. I didn't want to bring the movies in, but that brawly fight with Goku and Vegeta in the Dragon Ball Super movie, that right there is probably hands down the best fight in the entire franchise. Just straight up, just raw. Really enjoyed that fight. I love that fight. I love that fight. I like the Goku versus Hit fight. That was actually pretty good. Really enjoyed that one as well. I don't know, what was the bunny guy from Dragon Ball Super as part of the Pride Troopers, the rabbit guy that had super speed. I can't remember the freaking guy's name. I don't want to say he was an antagonist, but I can't say that he wasn't an antagonist if Jiren was the antagonist as well. The fight he had with Gohan and Frieza, I really enjoyed that fight too. Like, man, I'm telling you, man, Dragon Ball Z had some really cool fights. Best one was when the villain started to adapt to the Saiyans by learning how to true power levels like Goku. I can admit to that. But is it okay? Let me ask you this: is it them adapting to the? It's like them like hiding their true power levels, or is it power ups, or transforming? Because you got when people hide their true levels, typically in the show, when they power up, the other character transforms. Because that's what happened with, like, if you think about it, that's what happened with in the Frieza fight when Vegeta powered. Not saying he got stronger. What did Frieza do? He transformed. And then as Cell did the same thing, Frieza ended up beating him because he powered up because of the training. Then he transformed. Same thing kind of with Buu. whenever another character powered up, they always transformed. Now, they transformed in different ways and under different circumstances, but generally, when somebody else powered up, they just transformed. If you look at the Moro arc as well, he did the same thing. They powered up, he would absorb energy and transform. Now, I wouldn't say he transformed. I want to say he rejuvenated, or well, yeah, they can't hide their true levels during transformations. I mean, I guess you're right about that. I want to ask. I don't know if you read the manga. Moro, do you think he transformed, or was he transforming, or was he just getting younger? Because it's kind of weird that he had that goat face, and then as he got younger, it started to push in more. It started regressing more because they didn't show a picture of him when he was younger. You just see him as an old man, even back way back when they showed what he looked like. Mm. I'm not sure. I would say, and like, I want to bring in something from GT, but most of GT's fights fucking suck. As much as I like Baby and his art, as much as I like Nova Shinran, Nova Shinran probably gave the best fight with Goku in GT, but it wasn't anything to run home about. That Sin. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Like I said, I don't, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna go back and I haven't read the manga for Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z. I've only read the Dragon Ball Super. Now I've seen all of Dragon Ball Z, and I've seen a lot of Dragon Ball, and I've seen some of Dragon Ball Super, but I've read all of the manga of it. Oh, okay. But right now I'm trying to think of a good fight that was in GT, and I cannot. Like I said, the closest thing is maybe the Nova Shinran fight. The Sin Shinran was just fucking stupid. They introduced this thing. If you notice in Dragon Ball, martial arts and the fast paced fighting isn't in it. It's mostly one hits, and when they punch a person, that person flies into a wall or flies halfway across the. Like, there's one hit punches and energy blasts. That's about it. So it wasn't nothing really interesting. I can't remember. Not, fuck it. I don't think there was a really interesting fight in it at all. I can see that. I could kind of see that. I could kind of see that, but I still think he was a interesting villain. But like I said, mostly because his motivation and some of the stuff that he could do. But I can see that what you mean because he basically was an artificial life form. You know, he's an artificial life form too. But well, that's I need to chill before I go to work. Thanks everybody for coming in, making your comments, and tuning in to the video. This was my Dragon Ball villains, the good, the bad, the ugly. I didn't really talk about who had the best techniques or anything like that, which that probably would have been a good topic of discussion, but I didn't think that far ahead. But again, I thank you guys for watching the video. We got to talk about my top 10 favorite villains, the top 10 favorite worst ones, the best arcs, the worst arcs as well, personalities, good bits. Like, Dragon Ball Z has had a lot of great attention because of the villains, how well the villains look, their techniques, their motivations, and ultimately, it's still one of my favorite franchises, especially with the expansion of Super and Super Dragon Ball Heroes. Um, Really appreciate that. In the comment section below, look, guys, let me know what are your thoughts about Dragon Ball Z, the villains. Be sure to give me your top 10 favorite villains. If you want to, top 10 worst villains as well. Best arcs, worst arcs. Be sure to hit that like, share, subscribe, and that notification button to get the best of what we got going on. And we'll see you guys next weekend.